A familiar, dreaded classroom sets the scene. Bright red banners blare urgent exhortations, the most prominent screaming 25 days until the college entrance exam. Amidst this suffocating pressure, a high schooler named Ethan grapples with an impossible reality. How has he returned to this moment, before the dreaded college entrance exam? His expression is a stark mix of contemplation and rising dread. His eyes dart around the too familiar room, a bead of sweat tracing a path down his temple as he struggles to process the sheer disbelief of his predicament. Ethan surveys the scene before him. Xia Kingdom, ancient No. 1 high school, grade class 7. The familiar classroom assaults his senses, filled with students hunched over their desks, diligently studying. Banners lining the walls echo the same urgency. 25 days until the college entrance exam. Ethan's mind races, and he clutches at his head in disbelief. He asks himself what kind of horror story this is. He's clearly panicked about the situation he's in, his face contorted in a scream. He hopes he can make it through this. If he must be reincarnated, he begs that it happen after he has gotten into college. Since ancient times, humanity on Blue Star has been plagued by a catastrophe, secret realm invasion. A swirl of cosmic energy hangs ominously in the background, hinting at a deeper, more dangerous reality. The secret realms connect to another world, filled with terrifying monsters. Sometimes they take advantage of rifts in the realm to invade the human world. Powerful monsters can destroy several nations and threaten the entirety of human civilization. To fight back, humanity developed a beast gene system. Inject beast genes to awaken a monster template and unlock genetic talents. Only such warriors can save human civilization. Leon realizes that this is his chance to be someone great. This caused warriors to enjoy much higher status and treatment than ordinary people. Leon thinks about the benefits of becoming a warrior. He could do anything he wants. The entire Blue Star entered an era where martial strength is everything. He sees someone standing in front of a pile of bodies, and he thinks this is his chance to make a name for himself. Everything else is inferior, only martial cultivation stands above all. He realizes he wants to be a martial cultivator. His gaze is set on that goal. It appears that the world traversal introduction is complete. A system interface shows that the body host for the traversal is Ethan. He finds himself in a situation where memories are now being implanted. Ethan awakens, memories flooding his mind. He is now a high school student. He struggles with the influx of information, his head in his hands, a look of confusion and distress etched across his face. The classroom is filled with the usual noise of high school. The protagonist, Ethan, is surrounded by classmates who seem to be mocking him, noticing his distress. They see him as a loser still trying to take the college entrance exam. The taunting continues. A girl perched on a desk tells him to drop out of school and go home. She advises him to become a common worker, implying a bleak future. It's true that every bullied protagonist story has a lead bioch in it. Ethan muses. He grits his teeth as he thinks about this. Ethan reflects on the original owner of this body, realizing he didn't have a good reputation. The original owner's parents had an accident, causing him to lose focus on his training and studies. His grades suffered, dragging down the class average. Lost in thought, Ethan realizes he didn't study properly and now he's the one suffering. He ended up inheriting this unpopular, humiliating life. How tragic. The teacher, standing at the front of the class, addresses the students, informing them that they are about to inject the genetic modification serum. He tells them to have some confidence in themselves. The teacher speaks, a glint in his eye as he adjusts his glasses. He addresses those who never took it seriously before. He seems to be preparing to witness the consequences of their lack of effort. Ethan smiles wryly, acknowledging that this has to be a joke. It's not like he was the one slacking off, but it's him now. He wonders what he has to panic for, trying to remain optimistic in this absurd situation. Having inherited the original guy's role here, he steels himself. With intense determination burning in his eyes, he vows to fix the mess that has been made. The scene unfolds at ancient No. 1 high school gene injection hall, the location of the genetic injection conference. Students chatter amongst themselves, eager to see what they'll awaken as. One speculates about becoming a 3-mountain splitter or even a tier 4 sea bridge dragon, but someone else mockingly suggests that one of them might just become a tier 1 butt beast. A sleek futuristic container sits before him. This device appears to be advanced with glowing blue lights and the designation Eidenon. Before him a row of vials awaits, each filled with the gene awakening serum. This special serum contains the primal genes of all magical beasts ever recorded by human warriors, holding the promise of incredible power. Teacher calmly explains that after the injection, students will absorb one of the beast genes at random, and the stronger their physique, the stronger the gene they awaken. He urges the students to remain calm and accept the surge of power once the serum is injected. As names are called, students are summoned to receive their serum, a pivotal moment in their lives. The names of Chen Pengfei and Aoyunhua are announced. A syringe pierces skin, and the serum is injected. The scene erupts into chaos as those injected react strangely to the serum. Witnessing the scene, he notes that they acted so weird after injecting it. He realizes that this won't be easy. Determined, the protagonist decides to go for it and plunges the syringe into his neck. Blue energy crackles around the injection site, signaling the beginning of the transformation. The character's eyes widen with a sudden, intense surge of energy. His thoughts are racing, but suddenly this transformation stops abruptly. His teacher comments that Ethan doesn't seem to have changed much. In response, Ethan wonders if he got a fake dose. Ethan finds himself the subject of ridicule as a woman points out his apparent lack of awakening. The woman laughs mockingly, her words stinging as they echo in the room. Ethan, head bowed, appears to be struggling with something unseen. The woman continues her taunts, suggesting Ethan is doomed. Ethan, frustrated, recalls that the girl harassing him led the charge in the bullying he previously endured. Has visibly annoyed as he clenches his fist. Ethan's expression twists in pain as something stirs within him. He feels a strange sensation washing over him. He looks up as something awakens. A system window appears before Ethan, detailing his newfound abilities. It states that he has acquired an infinite monster template and his overall physique is ranked E. Among his martial skills, the system highlights the 9th student basic technique, blocking palm, and iron body technique extracted from the monster template. The girl is shocked as Ethan seems to glow with power. She demands that he stop pretending. Ethan, trying to contain the eruption of power, urges everyone to get away. Ethan, struggling to maintain control, warns that it will be too late if they don't leave. The power building within him threatens to explode outward. His eyes glow with an unnatural light. Ethan loses control as the monster template within him fully awakens. Energy surges violently around him. The transformation is complete. The force of Ethan's awakening sends the girl flying. She tumbles helplessly through the air, caught in the chaotic energy. The others are thrown away from the awakening. The girl screams in pain as she is thrown back. She notes the powerful impact. The aura surrounding Ethan is overwhelming, and she is unable to handle it. A striking young woman, known to others as Miss Liu, stares at her trembling hands, confusion and disbelief clouding her expression. Ethan's power has begun to change her as well. She studies her hand as her template takes hold. A classmate sits in silent contemplation, bathed in the ethereal glow of his awakening. Yet his thoughts are elsewhere, tangled in a single, unsettling question: does someone exist who is stronger than himself in this class? The question hangs heavy in the air, a challenge to his own potential. A system window materializes before Ethan, showcasing the template he's awakened, a rank Mad Flame Demola. The display highlights his bloodline abilities: Scorching Breath, Molten Pulse, and Spore Absorption. He also sees the advanced form Flame Lord, Demola. The system informs him that the unlocks when template compatibility reaches 100%, and he currently stands at 3%. I stares at his hands, a blue energy crackling around them. An excited thought crosses his mind: could this be the golden finger the system gave him? He wonders about the power now at his fingertips, a power that seems almost too good to be true. Witnessing Ethan's display of power, an older student remarks that Ethan used his aura to blow away everyone nearby. Another student is surprised to see him showing such abilities so suddenly. He questions if that loser Ethan knew is the same one standing before them now. A girl named Wang Xing lies unconscious on the floor. She awakened a second-tier magic beast, the Flame Claw Scorpion. Someone wonders what template Ethan awakened after witnessing his incredible display of power. I apologizes for making a scene during his awakening. He remembers telling them to step back, but they wouldn't listen. Several students lie on the ground, clearly overwhelmed by the power he inadvertently unleashed. The announcement blares from a speaker. All awakened third-year students must now proceed to the testing building. They are to examine what kind of magical beast gene they've awakened and to test their martial arts level. The building contains a gene breakthrough detection device. It can test the subject's magical beast gene and martial level. The monitor displays information about Like Sinuan from their class. Lai awakened a third-T magical beast bloodline Swift Spine Bug. Others remark about how lucky Lai is. He was just average in their class before awakening. Now he's number 1. Another student, Chuzhou, is displayed on the monitor. Chuzhou lives up to his title as the top student of the grade, and he's a level 9 martial apprentice. He awakened the top-tier bloodline among Tira Blindness Ice Demon Dragon. Others speculate that this time, the champion of Ancient City has to be him. Someone wonders aloud if they saw it clearly, questioning who Miss Liu is. They point out that she is also a level 9 martial apprentice, awakened. Another person exclaims, damn, a stage 4 rare bloodline, neither Sparrow. The top scorer of the province. There's a strong sense of disbelief and astonishment in the air, underscored by the stark declaration that such a bloodline beast in its true form could decimate most of a city. It is explained that warriors are like ants before them, and only grandmasters can resist them. Ethan finds himself lost in thought, a contemplative expression on his face. He considers how their awakened beast templates are all classified as stage 3 or stage 4. He wonders why his is a class. A student is called out to the front, next from class 7, grade 3 Ethan. He becomes nervous after hearing his name. He seems overwhelmed by the situation, thinking that this is way too much. Ethan stands before a crowd, their eyes shining with what looks to be admiration. Someone remarks on Ethan's intense power, thinking he might become someone big one day. Another person exclaims, wow, dream guy. Ethan is overwhelmed by the attention, thinking that this world really does revolve around martial power. Ethan walks towards a door, the entrance glowing a bright blue. There is a bold sound effect, adding to the impact of the visual. The crowd grows excited, thinking that it's Ethan's turn and that with the aura he just had, his level must be high. Someone wonders what kind of bloodline can release that kind of pressure after awakening, calling it insane. They also feel that this time, their number 1 is having a huge breakthrough. A close-up of other student eye emphasizes the intensity of the moment. He thinks that his name is Ethan. He also thinks that he really is something to look forward to. Ethan's profile appears on a screen with a large question mark next to it. The text below the screen states that only basic information is available and all other data is. Information about Ethan Class 7, Martial Disciple Stage 3 is displayed. Another line of text states that his beast bloodline is unknown. Someone scoffs at Ethan being a Martial Disciple Stage 3, boasting that even their little brother in middle school could beat him. Another person comments on how embarrassing it is and what a letdown. The crowd wonders what kind of decent bloodline someone at Stage 3 can have, stating that it looks like all that earlier was just a loud fart. Another person says that Ethan, you really are still that hopeless loser. Having noticed the system's expectations, the figure finds himself in a world that seemingly errs to predetermined rules. He remains silhouetted against a backdrop of pale blue and scattered dark debris. The world stretches out before him, the unknown future beckoning. As he begins his journey, he wonders what awaits him beyond the horizon. The system reports that a specific template could not be detected. The revelation washes over him, leaving him to ponder the implications of this unexpected error. His gaze is distant, lost in the complex web of the system's intricacies. Perhaps this world is not as predictable as he initially thought. The system activates the prompt for what it refers to as the Infinite Monster Template. A window appears containing information about the template and ways to upgrade it through quests or reputation increases. He observes that his template rank may differ from others. It registers that he currently has 0 draws. He is stuck in thought as to what it all means. A glint of determination sparks in his eyes as he processes the system's information. A small smile plays on his lips, indicating his inner calculations. He is starting to understand the system's mechanics. He knows that understanding the system is key. A rush of excitement courses through him as he considers the possibilities. If he meets the conditions, could he potentially draw infinite monster templates? The very thought sends a surge of power through his veins. The idea of becoming the king of monsters ignites within him. We see Anqing No, one high school under a bright blue sky dotted with clouds. This is where Ethan is determined to forge his path and improve his skills as a warrior. Ethan's teacher, characterized by his shiny bald head, rectangular glasses, and sharp features, takes a sip from a tall glass. He eyes Ethan suspiciously, inquiring if he wants to take a break to study at home and come back for the college entrance exam. The teacher doubts Ethan's sincerity, questioning whether he'll actually study at home. Ethan stands before his teacher, expressing his strong desire to improve. His teacher, seated in a chair, listens intently. Ethan acknowledges falling behind and needing special training, stating that he must keep up with his peers to have any hope of succeeding. The teacher addresses Ethan directly, emphasizing that college is the only path to becoming a warrior. While acknowledging Ethan's awakened bloodline, the teacher points out that his foundation is too weak to pass the entrance exam. The teacher advises him to prepare to repeat the year, cautioning not to rush. Close up on Ethan's face, he desperately proclaims that he wants to improve. He contends that the teacher may not understand that he's awakened a powerful bloodline and can definitely succeed as long as he trains hard. Ethan insists that he would never lie. The teacher, peering over his glasses, concedes that Ethan's eyes do indeed look sincere. However, the teacher agrees, but warns him that he will still be coming back to him to repeat the year next year. We see the Ancient Warrior Center. This is where Ethan is now headed, ready to commit himself to intensive training and push his limits to reach his full potential. Walking with determination, Ethan reflects on his financial situation. He reveals that his parents' house was mortgaged for $600,000, and their accident compensation was over $1 million, giving him a decent amount of startup capital. Ethan thinks about how he has 2 options to improve his power: level up as a warrior or increase the contract rate with Tamura's template. A profile shot shows Ethan deep in thought. According to data from the Infinite Monster template, each template starts with only 1 point of compatibility. Yet, Tamura clearly has 3 points of compatibility. A syringe containing a glowing blue liquid floats against a backdrop of fractured energy. The revelation comes the Tamura template absorbed the power of the genetic awakening serum, gaining 2 points of compatibility. The image showcases a cascade of coins and cards against a vibrant backdrop, illustrating the power of gene-related serums in enhancing template abilities within this world. It also highlights the character's preference for investing in template compatibility rather than grueling warrior training. From a low angle, Ethan strides forward with a determined grin, his backpack slung over his shoulder. He is surrounded by what seems to be wealth. He thinks to himself that he needs to hurry up and buy a gene-enhancing serum. Ethan is at a school entrance. He swipes his student ID card at a turnstile. A system voice announces that it is a student ID card. A close-up shot reveals Ethan's wide, slightly fearful eyes, reflecting an unseen event or realization. The scene erupts into chaos as figures are enveloped by dark, swirling energy. A melee of awakened bloodlines unfolds before him. He thinks to himself, everyone here has awakened their bloodline. He reflects that after awakening the Mad Flame Demora template, he gained its unique sensory ability to sense the life magnetic field. Demora can sense the life signals emitted by creatures through the release of its life magnetic field. He thinks to himself that he can clearly sense the warrior's Kai and blood burning like a furnace inside them, along with the beastly roars in their bloodlines. Ethan's eyes are gleaming in the dark. He thinks to himself, warriors, monsters, that he can't suppress the fighting desire inside him anymore. He then says that after all, Mad Demora is the king of beasts in their world. destined to conquer all life on the planet. Unfortunately, he's just a rookie right now and he can only suppress Demora's fighting bloodline for now. Once he grows stronger, he'll show the world what it means to be the king of beasts. Someone suddenly grabs Ethan's shoulder from behind. A tall, beautiful woman with long dark hair and blue shorts is looking at Ethan. She holds a pair of sunglasses and tells Ethan not to go peeking at others so casually. Ethan apologizing to her, saying he didn't mean to. The woman responds that it is fine, and he probably just awakened his monster gene, and not being able to control his powers is normal. She asks him what brings him to the warrior center. Ethan responds that he is here to buy genetic medicine, but this place is huge and he can't find his way, so he asks if she could help him out. She asks if he is using genetic medicine at this stage. Ethan questions if there is something wrong with that. The woman explains to Ethan that gene medicine isn't cheap, and its effectiveness decreases over time due to resistance. The woman mentions to Ethan that warriors maximize the effects of gene medicine by waiting until entire bloodline reaches a bottleneck before using it. She then asks if Ethan knows the price of one gene potion. She reveals that the beginner currently use costs 400,000. Ethan, looking surprised, remarks that the potions are expensive and he couldn't afford 5 even if he used all his savings. He asks if the woman knows anyone who could get him a discount. Hong Eli, a 4th-rank martial artist, offers Ethan her business card. She explains that with a veteran warrior's referral, he could get some discount on the gene medicine. Ethan is happy and thanks Hong Eli, and she replies saying see you around if fate allows, le guy. A close-up of a man's determined eyes suggests the narrative shifts, with him stating, alright, next up is, suggesting he's moving on to his next objective or plan. The scene jumps between images at the warrior hospital where Ethan is paying 1,450,000 in a weapon shop where he sees a weapon that costs 25,000 and another that costs 36,000. The text below reads, insane spending. We see Ethan's apartment building at night, with Ethan's subtle scream. The scene shifts to Ethan engulfed in an intense blue aura. A system window displays Beast Temple Mad Flame Demola and indicates that the compatibility stat is increasing from 3 Singwar 4 Sen and 4 Sen 7. The scene shifts again to a close-up of a screen displaying system information. It reveals host Ethan and states that overall stats are increasing from 8 or 10, and the air armed rank is increasing from 10 or 15. The feeling of leveling up overwhelms the boy. With each shot of gene potion, his physique improved, only increasing a little by the final one. It appears his body strengthens, and further base mutations become harder and harder to trigger. Ethan is quite pleased with the results of his work. In just a few minutes, he gained what others work 3 years for, and this is just using his base physical stats. It is noted that this is without activating Demola's bloodline power. He wonders if he might really do have what it takes at being the top scorer in the exam. Ethan clenches his fist in determination as he muses over his progress. If cheat mode can't beat the geniuses, then this cheat is way too weak. He declares his departure to the secret realm. We are shown the mechanics of the secret realms. Secret realm rifts are ranked from S to E. Higher ranks mean stronger beasts inside. A large, terrifying eye stares out at us. It is noted that beasts in class realms are completely uncontrollable by humans. If they ever invade the real world, it would be an apocalyptic disaster. We see Anqing No, 3E level secret realm, where Ethan's adventures continue. He thinks to himself that there are fewer people here than he expected. He considers that maybe this secret realm has been developed for too long. After all, it's an old realm, and any treasures it had have already been taken away. Only some weak beasts are left for rookie warriors to train with. Ethan approaches a desk with a woman sitting behind it, and tells her that he booked a ticket for Secret Realm No. 3. The woman, reclined in her chair, tells him to sign the death waiver, as this is his ticket. Ethan stands before a large glowing portal. He observes that this is a secret realm rift. A maniacal grin spreads across Ethan's face, revealing a set of sharp teeth. He declares that this is the beginning of his rise to become the king of beasts. Ethan leaps towards the portal, a determined look in his eyes. He shouts, "Here I come." A powerful force is unleashed, emanating a vibrant blue glow, a figure small in comparison to vast energy. This must be the force that guides Ethan to a new realm. Ethan is seen in a crouched stance, sword drawn, ready for action. His eyes are focused and determined, set on the task. The scene shifts to a grand cosmic view showcasing Kanglin Star, Anhui Star, and Taijin Star. Ethan finds himself amidst a landscape alien to Earth, hinting at a trans-dimensional voyage. Ethan looks around, remarking to himself about how even though he saw the appearance of the secret realm in textbooks, it is nothing like actually seeing it in person, saying that it is truly magnificent. He gazes up in awe at the scenery. Ethan seems to see a small red rabbit-like creature observing him in the forest. He notes to himself that he can even see the starry sky. It seems the forest is now teeming with mysterious and magical beasts. The Bladefang rabbit lunges forward, its fangs bared in a fearsome display, clearly a predator of some kind. A text box identifies it as a first-rank beast. Ethan prepares to defend himself, his sword raised against the charging Bladefang rabbit. Sparks of energy crackle around the beast, suggesting a magical attack. Ethan smirks, a glint in his eye as he taunts the creature, remarking about how the rabbit thought he couldn't sense it. The text box reveals that his template ability is Life Magnetic Field, an ability that probably allowed him to sense the Bladefang rabbit. With a swift move, Ethan strikes the Bladefang rabbit, its body suspended in mid-air. The impact turns the Bladefang rabbit into a pile of blood and flesh. Holding the Bladefang rabbit's magic core, Ethan explains that it's white, of average quality, and probably worth around 1,000 yuan. He also notes to himself that he made 1,000 yuan just minutes after entering. He considers it pretty efficient, as ordinary people work themselves to death for a whole month and only make 3,000 to 4,000. This means Ethan is well on his way to establishing himself in this new world. Ethan stands amid what appears to be a desolate landscape, holding up a small magic core. He's musing to himself, contemplating whether collecting so many first-rank beast cores is actually worthwhile. He then thinks that he is better off finding at least a second-rank beast to hunt. Suddenly, Ethan finds himself face to face with an enormous, grotesque creature. This second-rank beast, identified as a demon corpse bug, towers over him, its massive form filling the panel with a sense of immediate danger. Ethan's face breaks into a predatory grin, his eyes gleaming with an almost maniacal light. He holds a sleek, futuristic-looking weapon in his hands, ready to confront the monstrous creature. He proclaims, as if in answer to his previous thoughts, "Speak of the devil." Ethan found himself within the ancient No. 3 class secret realm. The realm itself was an otherworldly place, filled with strange flora and a celestial body hanging large in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the landscape. In the foreground, a glowing, intricate structure pulsed with blue light. Rooted deeply in the dark, jagged ground, the air felt charged with unfamiliar energy. He faced a monstrous creature looming before him, its dark form twisted and menacing with glowing eyes and sharp teeth. Ethan moved swiftly, swinging his sword in a wide arc, aiming to deflect the creature's powerful attack. A bright, cutting energy emanated from his blade as he met the onslaught, the force pushing back against the dark entity. Focusing his gaze, a blue light pulsed in his eye. He recalled information about creatures like this from texts he had studied. He knew from his reading of the monster encyclopedia that compared to the tough, steel-like shell along its back, the soft abdomen of this corpse demon bug offered a much easier point to strike through. He had to aim for its underside. The monster retaliated with a devastating attack, a swirling mass of dark and purple energy rushing towards him. Ethan reacted instantly, leaping back to avoid the crushing force of the blow. The energy consumed the space where he had just stood, narrowly missing him as he sought distance. Preparing his next move, Ethan brought his hands together, channeling energy. A bright blue light began to coalesce between his palms, emanating a palpable power. This was the application of martial arts, something fundamental to his abilities here, allowing him to focus his strength. With the energy gathered, he unleashed a concentrated blast downwards. A powerful beam of intense blue light shot forth from his hands, striking directly at the vulnerable point he had identified on the monster, aiming to exploit the weakness in its defenses. Despite the direct hit, the creature wasn't defeated. Its grotesque mandibles moved, and to his surprise, it fired two spinning, glowing purple projectiles right at him. The attack was unexpected, changing the rhythm of the fight and requiring an immediate response. Ethan's eyes widened slightly in disbelief as he processed the monster's move. Projectiles. It could fire projectiles from its mandibles. This wasn't quite what he had anticipated, adding another layer of danger to the encounter. Caught off guard by the attack, Ethan twisted his body, trying desperately to avoid the incoming projectiles. He moved through the air, surrounded by the streaking energy left in the wake of the monster's unexpected assault. He had to get clear. He stumbled back, clutching at his jacket as a projectile grazed him, ripping the fabric. A wave of frustration washed over him. He yelled aloud, questioning if the creature understood the cost of ruining his attire, particularly this expensive outfit. The fight was one thing, but damaging his gear was another annoyance entirely. Ethan stood before the massive bug-like creature assessing the situation. At his current level as a martial artist, he knew he couldn't do much against this opponent. He lacked the powerful martial techniques and the deep internal energy needed, even with the vitality of his strong physical body. He felt he could only use about half of his true strength. He attributed this limitation to the body he now inhabited, which he felt was a complete academic failure in terms of martial talent. Facing this overwhelming with his current limitations, Ethan realized he had no other choice. He would have to resort to using a different kind of power. Intense blue light flared from what seemed to be his eyes, crackling with energy. The words instructed the activation of something called Mad Demola, identified as the Emperor Demon's bloodline. Power surged through Ethan's body. His hand transformed, covered in hard scales and crackling with bright blue energy, taking on a claw-like appearance. The energy around him shifted, forming the shape of a draconic wing. A system notification appeared, indicating that his overall physical strength or empowerment had increased from 15 points to 21 points. With a forceful sound, the monster's head was violently struck. Its segmented mouth split apart, revealing grotesque insides and dripping venomous fluids. Tentacle-like structures writhed from the wound. Moving with incredible speed, Ethan, transformed and empowered, darted towards the gaping maw of the monstrous bug. He was a blur against the dark opening, driven by the activated power within him. A resounding boom accompanied the impact as Ethan's powered-up hand struck deep into the monster's core. A splash of bright green, presumably the monster's internal fluids or venom, erupted around his arm. Ethan stood amidst the dissipating remnants of the monster, returning to his normal appearance. He reflected that with his physical strength boosted to 21 points, he had managed to utterly defeat the Tier 2 corpse demon bug. However, even after deactivating the powerful transformation, he could feel intense heat radiating from his body, a side effect that made him feel as though he were a jet engine expelling exhaust. His gaze fell upon the short sword he had recently acquired, now lying on the ground. It was heavily corroded, eaten away by the venom of the corpse demon bug. He thought it frustrating that a weapon costing $250,000 couldn't even withstand a Tier 2 monster. He considered the quality control terrible and decided in his mind that it deserved a bad review. A rumbling sound came from Ethan's stomach. He clutched his abdomen, feeling weak and slightly pale. He wondered if the energy expenditure from his first monster hunt had been excessive, because he was incredibly hungry. A wave of regret washed over realized he hadn't thought to bring any food with him. Suddenly, Ethan's attention was caught by a distinct aroma. He took a sharp breath, inhaling deeply through his nose. A thought formed in his mind, wondering what the smell was, finding it remarkably fragrant. Ethan held the glowing green crystal in his hand, examining its radiant light. He realized as a magic core, specifically the core of the corpse demon bug, and it was a green-grade core. He also noticed that it seemed to emit a tempting aroma. He lifted the green core towards his mouth, dismissing any other considerations. He just wanted to consume it. He swallowed the core. The green core went down, leaving a trail of bright green energy and light behind it as it was consumed. Ethan felt a change within him as the energy integrated into his being. A system notification appeared, indicating that his compatibility with the Mad Demol Emperor Demon template had increased from 7 to 7.3 cent. He felt a surge of excitement, realizing his compatibility had improved. He recalled spending a large sum of money on a genetic potion that only increased his compatibility by a small amount. This single green magic core, however, had increased it significantly. He mused that just a few of these green cores might be worth as much as that entire potion. He then thought about the white magic cores from the Blade, Tooth Rabbit, wondering if they might also increase compatibility by a notable amount. A tear rolled down his cheek as he lamented the money he felt he had wasted on previous attempts to increase his strength. Standing amidst the grass, Ethan decided to turn his frustration into motivation. He resolved to hunt to his heart's content that night. He activated his life field ability, extending its range outwards from his position, sensing his surroundings. The next afternoon arrived. Ethan stood near a building, a large bag slung over his shoulder. A system window displayed his updated stats template: Maimola Emperor Demon, compatibility 9, overall physique 15.8. He reflected after reaching 9% compatibility. Consuming more white magic cores wouldn't increase it further. He realized he would need to sell them for money instead. He had managed to gather a total of 20 white magic cores and 1 green magic core. It was quite the haul, significant enough that the woman receiving them expressed genuine surprise, questioning how a regular high school student could acquire such a large quantity of cores. Following the regulations set by the government, martial artists were required to turn in 1/10 of the loot they obtained. This meant for the single green magic core he needed to hand over 5 of the white ones. With the exchange completed, he held 200,000 Sia Kingdom credits firmly in his grasp. Just 9 days remained until the college entrance exam. His attention was drawn towards the Ain't No Ford-class secret realm, a location that seemed to hold significance in the days leading up to the test. The scene shifts abruptly, and all we see is several people gather to complete mission. One of asks if person named Captain Lin could really complete this bounty mission successfully. The team gathered, discussing their plans. They had located the general area of the blood flower during their previous attempt. However, one of their members had been injured by a monster and couldn't join them, leaving them with only 5 people. This presented a problem, as the rules stipulated that a minimum of 6 individuals were required to enter a D-class secret realm. The team leader, Tier 2 martial artist, explained that he had reached out to an agency to find a new martial artist to join them. A system window displayed the information for the individual the agency had provided. He revealed his face, confirming that he was indeed the martial disciple level 9 known as Godzilla. Internally he knew the truth. Being just a student, he wasn't actually qualified to enter a D-class secret realm. To bypass this, he had used an illicit agency to acquire a fake identity and join this team. The process had set him back 100,000 credits, an expense he felt was a considerable rip-off. Someone on the team remarked that the name he was using felt a bit unusual. He simply brushed it off, stating it was merely a code name. Another person added that it couldn't be helped. Using his original name would have violated copyright rules, making the alias necessary. The team leader spoke frankly, noting that his martial disciple level 9 strength wasn't truly sufficient for a class secret realm. He stated the team would allow him to observe and learn, instructing him not to hinder their efforts. He readily agreed, seeing the upfront clarification of responsibilities before the mission as a reliable approach, certainly preferable to being put in a difficult position mid-mission. With the team assembled and plans made, they began their journey. The vehicle kicked up dust as they set off, the urgent call to find the blood jade flower driving them forward into the mission. Ahead, across the vast expanse of desert beneath the colossal forms of celestial bodies, lay an oasis. According to the tracker, the blood jade flower was located there. The data also indicated that the Osis was guarded by a Tier 2 monster possessing a general-level bloodline. Inside the vehicle, Ethan sat, observing the shifting landscape. They had been in a rainforest just before this. Now it was a desert. It made him consider that these secret realms might not be connected to just one world, but possibly linked to many. Suddenly, the vehicle was under attack. Several creatures resembling Earth demon rats lunged forward. A companion shouted, warning the driver that the monsters had located and locked onto them. The driver, focused on the unfolding situation, instructed the hooded figure. That person prepared himself, his metallic claws extending, ready to engage. He moved quickly, launching the sharp metallic darts from his hand towards the oncoming monsters. The darts struck the Earth demon rats with brutal force, piercing their bodies and causing blood to splatter. As the vehicle continued to speed forward, impacts registered behind them, marked by small explosions erupting in the air and sand. A system notification appeared, confirming that the targets had been eliminated. Ethan considered the method used, infusing martial energy into the throwing darts caused them to explode upon impact like a bomb. He noted the effectiveness of this technique, recognizing the user's ruthless approach and minimal communication. The journey continued across the alien desert landscape, the unusual planets hanging in the sky overhead. Ahead, the faint hint of the targeted Osis became visible. Having reached their destination or exited the vehicle, the group, including Ethan, the driver, and the tank-top-clad companion, began moving forward on foot across the sandy terrain alongside several others who were part of their squad. They walked across the desolate terrain, the dust kicking up around their boots under the stark sky. Ethan wondered why they weren't driving, mentioning the Osis was still a distance away. He was told the monsters residing in the Osis were highly sensitive, and the sound of their vehicle's engine would certainly alert them. The plan was to distribute tasks as they continued on foot. Instructions were being given, roles assigned for the approach. One voice directed Saya to pair a stun grenade to lure out a creature later. Another assigned Xiao Wu and Hood the task of setting traps. Old Leah was told to provide suppressive fire, while someone declared they would take on the front line themselves. Ethan, wearing his familiar hooded jacket, was pointed at. A voice, sounding parental, told him with a slight pause or stutter that he should simply observe. The younger man readily agreed. A projectile launched upward from the ground, ascending rapidly into the sky, leaving a trail of smoke in its wake. A sharp sound accompanied its ascent. The projectile detonated in a burst of light and energy. It was explained that this stun grenade contained potent monster pheromones, designed to make nearby creatures perceive their territory as under invasion, thereby attracting them to the location. From the swirling dust and smoke, a massive reptilian form emerged. A system notification identified it as a Tier 2 monster, an Earth dragon. As the creature appeared, a warning was called out to the younger man, cautioning him that the monster was approaching and to be careful. Amidst the rocky terrain, several sharp metallic darts stood embedded in the ground, forming what appeared to be a defensive line or trap. Standing silhouetted beyond them was a figure, distinct from their team members. A hand gripped the hilt of one of the sharp, metallic weapons seen earlier, drawing it slightly. The hand was large and calloused. The figure holding the weapon was revealed to be a bald man with dark sunglasses. He pulled the blade across his own tongue with a wide, unsettling grin. A low, guttural laugh escaped him. Vast planets hung in the dark expanse of space, bathed in the light of distant stars, a glimpse of the world where events were unfolding. Amidst a chaotic scene of dust and energy, a figure moved with purpose, launching from the back of a massive beast. A bright, cutting energy radiated from his weapon as he struck downwards. The large beast collapsed, a torrent of viscous liquid spewing from its mouth, its immense form lying still. Two figures ran towards the retreating dust, while nearby the man who had attacked the creature stood holding his blade, hearing calls from his companions confirming the beast's demise, identifying it as the Earth Dragon. The man, Captain Lin, stood amidst the fading energy effects of the battle, a determined look on his face as he held his weapon. He spoke, signaling his intent to continue pushing forward. As Captain Lin prepared to move on, a sudden movement drew his attention. A massive claw belonging to the fallen beast loomed large. His companions cried out a warning for him to watch out. It then struck the ground with force, to quickly jump in air. His body propelled through the air by the sheer force of the creature's desperate counter-strike. Above the monster, he unleashes a concentrated heat beam from his palm, the blast striking the creature's skull and shattering it on impact. Observing the powerful strike, two figures reacted with astonishment. They noted the immense power behind the attack, enough to affect the large beast, expressing disbelief someone described as merely a martial novice could possess such strength. Standing with the group now was Ethan, identifiable by his layered jacket and hoodie. The others praised him, acknowledging that his potent technique had finished the beast. They expressed gratitude for being saved, suggesting that from this point forward, they should travel together as companions, a notion Ethan acknowledged with a casual reply. A hand tightly gripped a large, pulsating object, vibrant red and appearing almost organic, with liquid dripping from its surface. Around it, streaks of light indicated a powerful release or collection of energy. A voice announced that Captain Lin was present and the Earth Dragon had been defeated. Around the glowing red object, people discussed the recent events. One commented that they elected the Earth Dragon's soul essence, calling it a great harvest. Someone else wondered if such a shiny red thing was truly valuable. Another observed that it looked like a large fruit. Ethan was there, listening as the conversation turned to how this item could significantly improve one's capabilities, or template. Captain Lin, a man with a thoughtful expression and a goatee, reflected on the difficulty of their recent achievement. He felt it had been a close call, but they had managed to defeat the dragon and secure the crucial substance they sought. Captain Lin's expression shifted to oneish as a sudden attack struck him from behind. A sword blade pierced his side ribs, causing blood to splatter. As he gasped, another person's voice dismissed his previous thoughts, stating there was no point dwelling on it now. Onlookers reacted with immediate alarm and surprise. One man shouted Captain Lin's name, while a woman covered her mouth in shock, asking what was happening. Another person in the background also appeared startled by the sudden violence. The attacker, identified as Hu Di, swiftly pulled back from Captain Lin after landing the blow. Captain Lin recoiled, clutching his injured back, and demanded to know what Hu Di thought he was doing. Hu Di turned, looking over his shoulder with a casual air. He questioned the demand, stating that what he was doing was obvious. Another person nearby remarked that Hu Di was clearly attempting something to enrich himself. A large, imposing man with a bald head and a menacing look stepped forward, holding a pair of sunglasses. His appearance, particularly a prominent belt buckle, drew attention. Someone recognized him with a gasp, identifying him as Hu Peng. Ethan stood listening as the man beside him, visibly agitated, questioned if others present knew the bald individual who had just appeared. He explained that Huo Peng was known for robbing martial artists of the loot they found within dungeons. The man's concern escalated as he realized Hu Peng was now focused on them. Captain Lin, still wounded with assistance from someone steadying him, accused Hu Di of being a traitor, stating that the blade used was poisoned. He demanded to know how Hu Di had discovered this location, expressing disbelief. Captain Lin emphasized that even his own teammate had only learned the location of the specific item they sought after they had already entered the dungeon. Ethan looked up, his gaze fixed on the figure that was throwing blade when riding vehicle. He realized what those weapons were and understood that the critical information about the location of mission had been hidden within them. Hu Di's face contorted into a sneer as he suggested Ethan should focus on returning school as college entrance exams instead of seeking danger. But Ethan remained steadfast, acknowledging the upcoming exam while internally affirming his readiness for it. With a surge of energy, Ethan propelled himself upward, leaving a luminous trail behind him. The teacher figure below, reacting to this sudden move, lashed out, labeling Ethan's action as arrogant. Ethan's eyes glowed with intense blue light as power gathered around his hand, catching the thrown darts within his fingers. He thought to himself that the real arrogance belonged to the barking figure before him. Ethan adopted a focused stance, cupping his hands together as a bright blue, swirling energy began to form within them. It was time he decided to eliminate the nuisance. The teacher's grinning face filled the view, declaring Ethan somewhat interesting. He then turned to another character, Hu Di, demanding the child's head. Ethan was now surrounded by numerous glowing blades arrayed like wings. Below, Ethan watched as the command was met with a firm affirmation. Ethan unleashed a powerful surge of blue energy, swirling defensively around him, clashing violently with incoming dark, fire-like attacks in a chaotic explosion of power. Dust and debris settled across the cracked ground. Ethan stood looking around as a warning reached him. Hu Di had disappeared. Ethan's eyes again glowed blue as he registered a sudden presence. A warning called out to him with threat was directly above. Hu Di descended rapidly from above, poised to strike with a technique known as the mountain splitter. With energy crackling around his fingers, Ethan felt this was the perfect moment to unleash his new skill. The power gathered between his outstretched fingers, glowing with intense blue light. He aimed his energy blast, a concentrated beam of blue force, towards his opponent. The figure loomed large, a powerful aura surrounding them as the attack shot forward. Two onlookers watched in disbelief. One man wearing a cap stood slightly behind Captain Lin, wondering aloud if Ethan, having defeated someone as Hu Di with just one move, was truly a martial novice. Ethan blew nonchalantly on his fingers, a puff of smoke rising, while the defeated opponent lay sprawled on the ground behind him, landing with a thud. The bald man with a gaunt face and intense expression stared wide-eyed. He exclaimed that this must be a gene technique and demanded to know which great family Ethan belongs to. A massive, dark, draconic figure with glowing purple energy and sharp teeth materialized, looming over Ethan. He stood his ground as a voice from the imposing figure declared it was from the Demura clan and asked if he was planning to beg for mercy. The dark figure, now taking a more humanoid shape but still radiating purple energy and malice with glowing eyes, asserted that even with gene techniques, Ethan couldn't overcome the massive martial gap between them. The figure transformed into a colossal muscular form, revealing itself as activating a bloodline technique, specifically identifying it as the bloodline activation Tyrant Terror Black Bear. The monstrous bear-like form stood before Ethan, its massive size emphasized by the proclaimed martial technique Peak Shaker. Ethan squared up, stating his intention to target the Hu Peng's legs first. With a sharp cry of pain, a massive claw recoiled as Ethan's attack connected, causing the creature to lament the strike to its leg. Ethan squared up against the monstrous figure before him, a hulking mass of muscle and rage. The air around them seemed to distort with the force swirling as they prepared to clash. Hu Peng with force leaped above, the ground groaning and cracking under the sheer power of the blow. Dirt and debris exploded outwards from the point of contact. Despite the overwhelming power unleashed, Ethan registered the surprising resilience of his opponent. Even a formidable attack like the atomic breath seemed ineffective, unable to inflict significant damage, barely impacting even an ankle bone. This foe was proving to be incredibly tough. The monstrous figure, having delivered its powerful strike, knelt heavily, its power radiating outwards. The ground fractured further under its weight, releasing waves of energy in concentric rings. Seeing his opportunity, Ethan surged forward, a burst of blue energy propelling him. He addressed his opponent, declaring that the initial exchange was over and it was now his turn to attack. Hu Peng looked up, seemingly caught off guard. Gathering his strength, Ethan channeled intense power into his fist. A bright, potent blue energy enveloped his hand as he prepared to unleash a devastating technique, the mountain-crushing fist in its core phase. The force of Ethan's attack struck Hu Peng head-on. The blue energy expanded violently, engulfing the creature and pushing it back, the sheer power of the impact evident in the visual distortion. With a heavy crash, Hu Peng collapsed to the ground, defeated. It lay prone amidst rising dust and debris, its form clearly showing the effects of the powerful blow. Ethan stood nearby, the fight concluded. Watching the spectacle from a distance, the onlookers were stunned into silence. The sheer power displayed left them in awe, whispering amongst themselves about how incredibly strong Ethan had proven to be. The defeated Hu Peng, now revealed and heavily injured, glared up at Ethan. His face contorted with rage, accusing Ethan of using a despicable gene technique that emitted toxic gas. He declared that such a wicked martial artist would surely be punished and unleashed a final, bitter curse. Ethan stood amidst swirling blue and purple energy. He felt the weight of accusations pressing down. He replied, "People cursing me just keep piling up. Who even are you supposed to be?